Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. Now in today's video we're going to be doing a 1000 point Tyranid list for 10th edition. So it's the first list we've got on the channel for 10th edition. 1000 points. Now this is just my personal list. And yeah, you'll have to let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below I suppose. But let's get straight into this list and we're going to start off with our warlord for the list, and it's going to be Old One Eye. Now he's only 140 points, he's pretty cheap for what he does. He comes with Feel No Pain of a 5+. He's got the leader ability so he can be leading Carnifexes, which we'll talk about that in a moment of course. Alpha leader to be able to reroll the hit rolls for the entire unit. And the unstoppable monster ability so he can regain D3 lost wounds in each player's command phase, which is pretty tasty. He's pretty tanky with toughness 9, 2+ armor save, 9 wounds, and pretty good in melee as well. With the strike ability, or the strike weapon as well as the sweep weapon, so two different profiles that you can select throughout the game. But overall I think he's a pretty decent leader and a decent warlord. Now to accommodate him we're going to be taking 2 Carnifexes, which are 125 points per Carnifex, so 250 points for that mini unit. They are of course going with a One Eye, of course, if you haven't worked that out already. Now their personal ability is Blistering Assault. So each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot, after the unit is shot, if any models from this unit lost 1 or more wounds as a result of these attacks, this unit can make a Blistering Assault move. To do so, you roll a d6, adding 2 to the result. Each model in the unit must move that distance in the inches up to that result. But this unit must finish as close as possible to that closest enemy unit. Now you can even do this to get within engagement range, and you can only do the Blistering Assault once per phase. So you can literally steal movement, get into engagement range when your opponent doesn't want to be. Pretty good ability. They've got very similar stats to our One Eye. You've got toughness 9, 2+ armor save, only 8 wounds, not 9. But yeah, that's not too bad. Now I'm going to be swapping out the 2 extra talons, or the 2 extra Scything talons, for the Stranglethorn cannons on both of these models. I'd rather take the extra range damage output. Rather than getting 2 attacks per Carnifex that is going to be strength 9 minus 2 AP 3 damage, I'd rather have the Stranglethorn cannons, D6+1 attacks with blast, 36-inch range, strength 7 minus 1 AP and 2 damage, so they're effectively pretty good at killing infantry models. Space Marine models of course, damage 2 is all you really need there, but I just wanted a bit more range to my army. Speaking of range, my next units are going to be Zoanthropes. I'm going with 2 units of 3. I wasn't sure whether to split these or not, but I've decided to split them for 2 reasons. First of all, it gives them a slight bit of resiliency because your opponent has to decide what they're going to do with their range attacks. Are they going to split their range attacks to try and eliminate both units? Are they going to overkill one unit? Are they going to underkill one unit? So it gives you a little bit more in return if you do it that way. Also, you're going to have those complete 2 auras of the 6+ invulnerable saves with a warp field. So you can use that to your advantage, I suppose, in 2 different locations. And of course there's Synapse as well, so they're going to be providing Synapse for your army. So in fact that was probably 3 reasons. They've got the 4+ invulnerable save, and Warp Blast is probably one of our best range attacks we've got in our index. With 2 profiles again, you've either got the strength 7 minus 2 AP D3 damage, or the Focus Witchfire, which is only 1 shot each, but it's strength 12 minus 3 AP and D6+1 damage. Lethal hits on top of that as well. I think they're pretty decent at range, so that is why we've gone with those. Next, to further boost our ranged attacks, I've gone with the Exocrine. Now with the symbiotic targeting, as soon as the Exocrine targets one enemy unit, you can reroll all hit rolls at range against that targeted unit, or reroll hit rolls of a 1 at range. So therefore your Zoanthropes, for example, with those Warp Blast weapons, you're going to be rerolling 1s against that specific target. And it's the same, in fact, with the Stranglethorn cannons with the Carnifexes. So we're taking the Exocrine. Now he's of course got the Bioplasmic cannons, which are blast and heavy. 36-inch range, D6+3 attack, strength 8 minus 3 AP 3 damage. So this thing can sit pretty far back into our deployment zone perhaps, and just be targeting units that you want to reroll 1s against. It's of course pretty tanky as well, toughness 10, 3+ armor save, 14 wounds. Kind of does everything you want it to do. The next 2 units are Barbgaunts. Now I really like these new models for the 10th edition, so I've gone with 2 units of 5. So it's 100 points, which I think is dirt cheap. It's only 10 points a model. These things are, well, they've got an ability called Disruption Bombardment. So the reason why you would use this is in your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, if an enemy infantry unit was hit by one or more of these attacks made by the biocannons, which is what they've got, then you're effectively going to -2 to their move characteristic, and then a further 2 to their advance and charge rolls. Now, in a previous video I did, don't know when it was now, I mentioned that it's only -2 from the movement and then -2 from the charge, because I normally would put movement and advanced moves into the same, but it actually says move characteristic, not movement. So therefore the movement characteristic will go down by 2, and then you're subtracting 2 from the advanced roll as well. So you're rapidly slowing down, it's probably the wrong word to use, you're very much slowing down enemy infantry units that are coming into our areas, and that's going to help things such as the Exocrine that doesn't really want to get caught in melee. Now these biocannons, in fact, we're going to have 10 of them in total. They've got the blast ability and heavy, so they could be potentially hitting on a 3+ with D6 shots each. Strength 5, no OP, 1 damage. Now, to be honest, it's not really about the strength and the damage, but it does help against light infantry. But what you want to be doing is split firing these as much as possible. I'll also be using these as a screen, in fact, as well, because they're toughness 5. They're pretty good. Now, the last units that I'm going to be putting into this list is 3 individual units of Biovores. Now, that comes up to a total of 195 points. Seems quite pricey. Now, why I like the Biovores is the Seed Spore Mines ability. So in your shooting phase, each time this unit is selected to shoot, it can use this ability instead of making any attacks with the ranged weapons. So what this does, you can add a new Spore Mines unit into your army and set it up anywhere on the battlefield that's within 48 inches, but no more than 9 inches away from enemy models, of course. Now that Spore Mine unit will contain 1 model. Now we're going to be using 3 of these, so we're going to have 3 separate Spore Mine units that are going to be created every single turn if we didn't want to fire with our actual range attack. Now why they are good? Well, there's a few good reasons. First of all, you can make mini screens. Second of all, the Spore Mines can blow up into your opponent's units. But third of all, most importantly, is Spore Mines can actually score points. Whether it's primaries, whether it's engaging or fronts, with your secondaries, behind enemy lines, they can literally do all that. They've got no restrictions that say they can't score any points. They can do it. So as soon as you draw a card and it says get behind enemy lines, you fire a few of these Spore Mines into your opponent's back lines, bang, you're scoring it. So these are very versatile for the tactical objectives, which is why I quite like them, but they're also going to be good screens, and you don't even have to use the Spore Mine ability. You could just use the standard range fire, which is, it's got the blast ability, devastating wounds, it's heavy and indirect as well. So if you do just stay stationary but you're behind obscuring terrain, the heavy and the indirect fire will kind of cancel each other out. Your 48 inch range, 3 attacks, well D3 attacks each, ballistic skill 4+, strap 6, -1 AP and 2 damage. So they're doing a lot, they're doing a pretty good work, they're doing pretty decent work there, and they're going to be sitting on our home objectives most likely. And you can even use these for actions, well, the new version of actions, and of course scoring our primaries. So that is the 1000 point list. I'm going to now show you on a little deployment map. I'm just going to use the open war map because it's just easy. Of course the map type could be completely different, the mission could be completely different, and the terrain of course could be a big factor in your game. But I'm just going to use a blank map from the open war missions from the rules, and I'm just going to show you roughly how I would ideally deploy this army. So the Carnifexes as well as a one eye, I'm just going to stick in the middle. They're going to be like a bowling alley straight down the centre, and they're going to be a massive distraction. As soon as they get into engagement range of something, they're going to do some work, and our opponent is going to have to fixate on getting rid of this unit. You've then got the Zoanthropes, which I've split into 2 units of 3 to provide extra synapse and the invuln saves. They're not going to be as wide as you can see on the picture here. I've just put it there for spacing purposes, really, for the image. But they're going to be flanking our Carnifex unit, and they're of course going to be firing in with their warp blasts. Now the Exocrine is going to be near the back. Doesn't necessarily have to be right at the back, because it's only got 36 inch range, don't forget. Sometimes it's not going to get that full range of the board, but you want to be giving this thing as much line of sight as you possibly can, so give it a good firing lane so that it can see all the juicy targets. I've then got the Barbgaunts, which I haven't really decided whether they're going to be behind the Zoanthropes or in front of the Zoanthropes as like a screen. I'm not really sure yet, so I've kind of indicated that in 2 images here on the screen for you. If they are behind the Zoanthropes, then they will be acting as an anti-deep strike for enemy units coming in. If I'm not afraid of that, then I don't need to hold them back there, so that I can just instead put them as a screen in front of the Zoanthropes so that they don't get targeted in melee. Then that just leaves the 3 Biovores, which I'm just going to kind of dot around. It doesn't really matter too much. I suppose it's where the objectives are, where the obscuring terrain is perhaps, because they want to be behind it with indirect fire. So it all depends on what's on the map, I suppose, but they're just going to be in and around our deployment zone, preferably on an objective. If not, it's okay. It's okay, but they're going to be trying to throw out spore mines to do what they do best. Now, ideally, in turn 1, maybe turn 2, depends on where the game goes, this is where I would want to be looking to make my movements towards. So the Biovores, they can probably locate themselves in the corners if they wanted to block off deep strikes, along with the Exocrine as well at the back lines as well. And those Barbgaunts are of course there to slow down enemy infantry. Exocrine firing at anything that we want to be rerolling ones with, so that'd be the Zoanthropes and the Carnifexes, and of course Old One Eye's going to just do his thing. Am I suggesting this is the most competitive list? Honestly, no, I don't know. I mean, I've had a few games with it. It's done okay. This is just my personal list. I just wanted to share this with you guys. And yeah, I just want you to tell me what you think. Give me some feedback. Is there anything in this list that you would personally change? Let me know down in the comments below. So guys, yeah, that is kind of it from me today. All that is left to really say is thank you for watching. See you in the next one.